Hello and welcome to the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Johnstone, and I have an incredible offer for you today. What we've done is we've taken the 10 most profitable methods to grow your mortgage business that we have learned from interviewing the producers on this podcast, many of whom are doing over $100 million in volume per year. And we've packaged them together into a condensed 45-minute training where you get to learn the 10 most successful and profitable activities that you should be running in your mortgage business. Then we show you how to automate those processes with people and systems so that they run and continue to produce loan applications and new partners that want to send you business pre-booked into your calendar without you having to do any cold calls or chasing or really any work. It's a blueprint for you to be able to produce more in your business while actually working less. And you can go get that training today for free at chriswebinar.com. That's chriswebinar.com. So make sure you head over there today, grab that training for free, and make sure that you watch it, because the sooner you get started on implementing these strategies, the sooner you can see results and continue to grow your mortgage business. Thank you again for being here with us for this episode, and enjoy another one on the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are blessed to have Dennis Yu with us today, who is, if you're not in the elite marketing circles, that's where Dennis comes from. He is an incredible marketer, and we're thrilled to have him on the show today. Dennis, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Right on. So we have seen you doing an incredible job teaching people how to leverage TikTok, video marketing, and online marketing over the years. We've seen you do content with, Barry Habib and some incredible people in the mortgage space. So let's get into it. So you currently have a best-selling book right now on Amazon. What is that book, and what is the content of that book?
It's called The Definitive Guide to TikTok Advertising: How to Reach 1 Billion People in 10 Minutes.
I love it. And so for our audience, which is typically mortgage lenders, how should they be approaching TikTok? What's the best way for somebody who's business to consumer to start looking at their content and looking at TikTok?
If you're a loan officer or if you're in financial services and it's all about relationships and all about referrals, you need to expose those relationships so that TikTok can do your referral marketing for you. The beauty is, if you can make a 15-second video on your cell phone, like I was showing a bit earlier, TikTok will do something that none of the other social networks do. It recognizes the background in your video. It does facial recognition, and it starts showing those videos to other people that would recognize that. I was at Jake Paul's house. We were filming a course together, and some of my guys were messing around because it's Jake Paul's house, so they were fangirling about it. And they took some videos, little selfie videos showing off that they're at Jake Paul's house, right?
Yep.
TikTok's algorithm recognized it was Jake Paul's house and started showing it to Jake Paul's fans. Some of those videos got millions of views from nobody accounts. And we've been doing tests with real estate agents, with other people that are in financial services like insurance. And like my buddy Caleb Williams, he sells overfunded life insurance. What a horrible thing to try to sell on social media, right? But he's in front of his favorite restaurants in Denver. He is interviewing other people on his podcast that are well known in his space. And guess what? TikTok is picking up who is in the background. Actually, Facebook is starting to do that too, but they won't tell anybody, right? Think about it. If you're a lender and you know the different parts of town and you know the other agents in place and the teams, and you make videos with them, and Facebook and TikTok start to recognize who those people are and start showing, and then the potential clients say, I go to that restaurant too, or I also go to Costco on Sunday, or that's, I used to grow, I went to that school when I grew, or those sorts of local landmarks. It shows that you become a local celebrity. And Google's starting to do the same thing too, right? On Google, when you leave a review, when you build relationships, Google's picking up who you're engaging with, or what objects, what companies, what posts you're engaging with. and it's going to show it to other people who engage with those posts, who most likely are going to be people in your town, which reinforces the word of mouth. So when you're at Whole Foods shopping, like I was yesterday, people will walk up to you and say, hey, I saw you on Facebook. I saw you on YouTube, and I had a question. I was looking at this property to buy, but I was wondering whether now's the right time, and I want to talk about what I could afford. Or they start coming to you, and it's crazy because you build a local celebrity, right? If you're a lender, you just want to be known in that. You're not trying to become internet famous. You're just trying to be known in your city.
That's right.
So if you make these little videos, the algorithm will pick up on that. And that's true on Facebook and TikTok, and kind of on Twitter and kind of on LinkedIn, but especially on TikTok and Facebook.
That's amazing. And so the whole recognition of where they're located. So we've got a
Yeah.
listener and they've picked out a location like the most popular restaurant in town
Yeah.
or a landmark, something like that. They go out to shoot their content.
Uh-huh.
Does the content in the video matter? What should that content look like?
Okay, so there's three parts to any kind of story. So the first part's the hook to get their attention.
Yeah.
So it could be you're in front of that famous restaurant, or my buddy Justin Martin. I think he's the number one, or was the number one real estate agent in number one team in Colorado, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
He runs iHomes Colorado, and he is constantly making little videos with his family. Yesterday was Mother's Day, so him and Mimi are out there on their boat. They're celebrating because she had cancer and he was in remission, all kinds of great things. But because he's engaging with other friends of his and business owners and going to compete in karate and all that, that first 2 seconds is called the hook. That's the most important part of any video, because otherwise people scroll past you on every single social network. So he's quickly establishing that he's doing something interesting, or he's with his family, or he's in a cool place. There's some kind of motion involved, right? That's called the hook. Okay. Ideally, it establishes a local hook. That way it tells Facebook, hey, this is a cool, we're checking in at this one restaurant, or we're at this one place. It's telling TikTok, who's reading the face and all. Every one of these networks is looking for something else. Google is looking for what's called a signal, which is looking at the place you're checking in, looking at the keywords that you're using, right? They're all looking at something. You have to feed them all at the same time, right? Because you're going to reuse that video in all the same places. So the first part's the hook. That takes 3 seconds.
Okay.
Second part's the body. The body is something like, now is the best time to be, buying a house, or here's what's going on in the market, or here's your market report. Here, like the stuff Barry Habib talks about, right? All the daily local news kind of stuff. So you do that for 5 seconds. How far can you get, Chris, in 5 seconds?
Not very far.
And then the third part is the call to action. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I would love to sit down, no pressure, and talk to you about your situation.
Yeah.
Right. Here's my number. Call me, message me, talk to me. I have a book. Schedule a 15-minute call with me. Like, what the call to action is, hey, I'm here. Let's get together. Whatever your favorite ways to get together, let's get together. So it's that part, right? The hook, the body, the call to action. 15 seconds, you're done.
That's amazing. And the thing that I love about that most is that you can shoot those videos. Once you've got the framework, you can shoot them anywhere. Like you can quite literally pull your phone out when you're out on the boat with your wife or your kids, or in front of that local restaurant, and all of a sudden you've got content.
That's right. It's that's simple. You can literally, how many of these 15-second snippets do you think you could crank out in half an hour?
Oh,
if you're motivated.
10 easy.
Yeah. And then one of those is likely going to do way better than the other ones. And you'll never know which one it is. You'll just sort of have to do the best you can. You have general topics, a general idea, bullet points, but you don't have it word for word. And when you find that winner, you put $1 a day against it. Or maybe you have a chicken and egg digital marketing presence where you're not even being seen. So you put $1 a day against each of those. You find a winner, then you can start to put $10 a day against it. And that will continue to produce, which is what we call the greatest hit. It'll continue to produce on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat. Snapchat works really well for some reason for real estate agents and financial services. Mortgage brokers, not quite as much. I'm not sure why. Facebook seems to work really well for mortgage brokers, and TikTok is doing surprisingly well with lead ads, which is it's the second most popular advertising option on TikTok.
And so let's talk a little bit about that. So we've gone through content framework, how to shoot the actual videos. Now you're saying $1 a day on these. So you're running TikTok ads specifically.
Yeah.
And so what type of targeting options does TikTok have when they go in there? What should they be looking for?
There's almost none. And that's why TikTok is so effective, because people that try to over target, because they have this idea of the persona of exactly this kind of buyer,
Yeah,
exactly this particular situation. There are some exceptions, like maybe you do, veteran mortgages,
right.
you know, like I won't go into all the details of that, but a lot of that is illegal anyway, right?
Right.
And on Facebook, especially, well, it's true on Google because it's the law, because of GDPR and things like redlining. You can't do things that would appear to be discriminatory now, or even are linked to being discriminatory. So all you can really do is base geo-targeting at the DMA level or at the city level. And you
Yep.
can't do anything outside of that, because if you target, for example, the top Indian TV channels, that can potentially be seen as racist. And that's why Facebook took away different kinds of ethnic targeting, or certain, like they basically have taken away detail targeting, which died 3 years ago, but is in the process of dying. So targeting doesn't matter. You only choose your city. That's it.
Hmm.
And people say, well, but I don't want to reach all these kids, or I don't want to reach this other, like, it doesn't matter, because based on what's in your video, the vibe and who you are and what you talk about and who your friends are, like your customers, Facebook and Google and TikTok know that. They will find the people that want to engage with you. You do not need to target anymore.
That's right. That's their business because if they don't get engagement, they lose on both sides. They're not going to have content producers and they're not going to have viewers.
So I'm using Facebook, Google, and TikTok interchangeably because their algorithm is doing their best to try to find out who to show their stuff to. But let's just say, for example, on Facebook, Chris, you make a video with Josh Nelson in Miami,
Yep.
and you're hanging out in Miami, and you went to some of the favorite places that I know Josh and I like to go to. And so when you post a picture like that, do you think, I mean, how does Facebook decide who to show that to in the feed?
Right. So it would be obviously friends, people that have engaged with content like that, but also
Yeah.
people that have potentially been at that location previously, people
Yeah.
that know Josh, people that are in
Yeah.
his social network,
Yeah.
members that were both parts of groups together with.
Yeah. And so when that happens and some people start to engage, because the first part is the audition.
Yep.
So when you post something, Facebook or TikTok or Google will show it to 1% of the audience, just to kind of give you a taste test.
Yep.
And if in that audition, if people engage and they're like, wow, I eat at that steakhouse too. That's really nice. Oh, I'm also in the 7-figure agency group. Oh, I also have that book. Oh, I've also seen Josh or Chris, on this other podcast before, or whatever it might be, or other friends. I've been to Miami as well. That one place. Have you been to? So if people engage on that, then who else sees your content?
Yeah, absolutely.
Friends of those people. And so then you have this pebble in the pond that expands outward. And then if you put ads against it, you put $1 a day against it, then you're getting even more. So if you are creating that cheese that your customer just, it's irresistible to them, then the system's going to find more people that are like that. So that's why you want to interview your very best customers, not as a testimonial, but just asking them what's up, making them look good, doing like a minute lightning podcast, right? As a little video, that's it. And because this whatever you put into the system, you put a grapefruit into the system, it'll give you more grapefruits, right?
Yeah.
What a surprise.
So you just touched on something very powerful for our listeners, which is interviewing your customers about the experience. And
Yes.
anytime you have somebody in your office, like you
Mhm.
should have somebody ahead of time doing the research on social media. When you have
Right.
somebody that comes in that's active on Facebook or active on TikTok or active on
Yeah.
Instagram, you should
Yeah.
ask them to do an interview with you on that channel that they're engaged on.
Yeah. Or even better, see them in person, pull out your cell phone and make a 1-minute video with them, train your team to be able to do that. So I was training Tommy Mello, who is the #1 home services business in the United States. He runs A1 Garage. You probably see his face
Yeah.
all over the place on billboards, on vans. And you guys who are watching and listening, you'll see that too. You'll see he's all like tough like this, and his arms are crossed, and there's a red van. His face is everywhere, and he's got hundreds of these technicians that go around and fix garage doors and install garage doors. He's the garage door guy. Well, guess what? When his tech, drives up in the van, puts in that new garage door, shows it to Sally, who's the owner of the house. I just like to use Sally because that's the 45-year-old mom, as opposed to Stephanie, who's the 23-year-old social media bubbly girl. But he then asks, the technician will then ask, so did you know that the garage door is the smile of your house? Oh, that's really, yeah. And tell me, how do you feel about this? Oh, this is amazing. This is great. And, I remember how it looked before. My garage door was creaky and it was ugly, and now it's fantastic. Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I would love to get your feedback on how you felt about the process, because my pay is tied to, collecting these little video stories. Would that be okay? And they almost always say yes, but the answer is going to be yes, but my hair, or, oh, don't worry. We have professional video editors that make you look good. So here, let's do this. And then, hey guys, I'm here with Sally. Check out her beautiful house. Hey, Sally, where are you from and what are you doing? Oh, well, Tommy came over and he did a great job on this house. I really like what he's done. And he showed up on time, and they were very professional. And it was a referral from a friend of mine who said they also used A1 Garage. And, thank you so much for coming over. This is great what you guys have done. And so that's what's called a testimonial. And most service businesses, you can be especially in financial services, they have a real hard time asking for that. And so if they get it, they think, oh, I've won. I got a testimonial. Now I'm going to put it everywhere and on the website and whatever, or get them to log into Google and Facebook and Yelp and leave a review or whatnot. But that's not it. That if you stop there, you fail. Because the key that gets this to work is the vibe. So the first time people say something, they're still thinking about the words and how to say it, and it doesn't come out as strong. So when they say it the first time, which is kind of a rough draft, you then say, Chris, that is awesome. Thank you. All right, one more time, right? And they'll do it one more time, and then it'll come out with more energy because their brain has now kind of carved that pathway. And so it comes out with much better. And the key is also then re-asking, say, tell me how, please, I'm doing a podcast. This is what happens when you're, I love hanging out with my mom. She doesn't know that doesn't realize there's other people that are watching.
It's all good. It is all good. She can join us if she'd like.
She actually will pop in. We'll interview, like my buddy Matthew Janusek's in town, and she'll jump into the middle of the filming where we have professional athletes, and I'm coaching them on what to say, and she comes in and says, "No, you should say it like this." If you've seen me coach so many people making videos,
that's awesome.
Yes, she knows like in that situation, this is what you say. This is why they goofed it up. They need to say it this way. Anyway, where were we? so the vibe. The vibe is what causes people subconsciously to convert. And a lot of people think about NLP or whatever different ways of trying to manipulate people, which is great. But I think it's simply this. When you ask people, how did you feel about working with me? And how did you feel about the experience? You see how that's a totally different answer than the logical, mechanical, rational thing of, well, I got a great loan and they were on time and they did process the paperwork and all this, they answered the phone on time. They were always, so that's good. Those mechanical components are true. But remember, when people make decisions, I'm going to give you one thing that was mind-blowing to me. I learned from Brian Eisenberg, who has the #1 book on conversion optimization and is the top conversion expert on the planet. He said that people, they make decisions with their heart and their mind at the same time together. And, ever have it, Chris, where you try to drink something and it goes down the wrong pipe? Right? Because one can go to the lungs and the other one can go to the stomach. And so there's the epiglottis that decides which one it goes down. The same is true in your mind when you're making decisions. Sometimes you're thinking logically and rationally, and sometimes you're thinking with your heart. The thing is, just like with the epiglottis, they're not both active. You're not breathing and and eating at the same time. You can't do both.
Right.
So the brain is constantly switching back and forth. And when people are in this logical, rational, factual kind of mode, they are not, you cannot convert them because they are researching, because their guard is up, because they're critical, because that analytical brain is trying to decide and is like judgmental and this kind of thing. But when you're selling to the heart, because of relationships, because of vibes, because your mother told you that this is how you need to do things, because of that, that's how that all purchasing, all decision making, conversion occurs in the heart mode. So when you ask people, how did you feel about this? You're bypassing that whole rational, logical, calculating side and going straight to the heart. And most people, when they do marketing, they're focusing so much on the facts and the details and all that, that it feels transactional and people's guard is up because they got to process and analyze all this stuff instead of the vibe. When you trust somebody, you just go ahead and do, you don't do, you're already past that guard.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
That's the
so
key.
true.
So in that video, you're constantly, each of these videos, you're trying to get to the vibe where the external viewer sees these two people talking. And yes, they're talking about, this is where my kids go to school, or here's my favorite Italian restaurant, and this is what I order on the menu. Oh, here's my favorite waiter, and this is her name, and this is, that has nothing to do with mortgages. There's nothing to do with interest rates. There's nothing to do with whether they're competent as a lender, but it has everything to do with who that buyer, the buyer chooses to work with, because the buyer doesn't know anything and doesn't want to know anything about the details of what you do. No offense, they don't.
Yep.
Ask them, they don't. They'll pretend they do. Their eyes will gloss over when you go into adjustable rate mortgages and all this kind of, like, they're like, okay, yeah, whatever, blah blah. You know the teacher in Charlie Brown, blah 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 blah. That's what it sounds like. So the vibe, you've got to capture the vibe, because if we were to turn the sound off on your, by the way, you should watch all your videos with the sound off. If we turn the sound off, can we tell that there's a good vibe between those two? And Facebook and TikTok especially picks up on that vibe.
That's crazy.
The AI, I'm telling you, it's not just playing chess anymore. It is really scary smart.
That is really cool. And so, to give a tangible example, I'm thinking open houses. I'm thinking tours with real estate agents, because
Yeah.
everybody wants a house, nobody wants a mortgage. So being able to layer into your content, you being at the property with the real estate agent and having that quick tour, or even just being at a coffee shop with a real estate agent where you're featuring them, or lawyers, financial planners, investment advisors, setting yourself as that expert and growing that following. Because most people, when they start shopping for a home, it takes them an average of 4.5 months before they'll actually pull the trigger and make that decision.
Yeah.
If you can get your content in front of those people in that time period, they like your vibe, they like that, and they start following your content, you're going to win that deal from social media as a result of being in front of that audience, and using the advertising to boost it, I think, is a great way to get that.
And you're going to win the referral from the agent, because all those agents, they could go to any broker. And unfortunately, when consumers like me are out there buying a house, the sexy thing to do is to go out and tour all the houses. They don't want to know what kind of house they can afford. They don't want to talk about the loan and getting a pre-approval. So you've got to build a great relationship, as you guys know, with the real estate agents. But what's the general reputation of a lender with the mortgage broker, or with the real estate agent? It's pretty bad, right? Oh, give me all your leads. Well, why should I give you my leads? Right? How about all those other guys? What are you doing for me? You only come to me because you want the leads? Right? That's the issue, right?
That's
so
right.
when you build relationships with those real estate agents, and then they know that that lender is someone, for example, Michael Haug is one of my favorites. He's in Minneapolis. He's been a loan officer forever, and he has a reputation for always answering the phone. It doesn't matter. In the middle of dinner, it could be Sunday afternoon, he's playing soccer, like whatever. He always answers the phone, but then he'll say, okay, I'll call you right back in 10 minutes. But he always answers the phone no matter what. And so he's developed a reputation with all the agents that, and the reason why they put the loans through him is because they know that his team is always on the ball and he always answers the phone. because you don't have all these weird delays. And when you work at the huge companies, you get all these delays and all the paperwork. He's on top of the ball, right? And it's merely that, and he's built a reputation for doing that. Is it because he's a social media superstar? No, I think he kind of sucks on video. He's not well spoken. He doesn't have high energy. It takes multiple cuts for him to say something clearly. To which I'll just say, you know what? That cut was good enough, because he's not a professional TV spokesperson. What's coming through is the key point that he always answers the phone and he understands. He's been doing this a long time, right?
That's incredible. Awesome. Well, Dennis, thank you for being so generous with your time and with all the information. So if there's somebody listening to this and they're looking to go further with TikTok, they're looking to get more information, how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out?
Funny thing is that you could reach me on TikTok, but I have so many messages, I might not see it. LinkedIn is a great place to connect.
Nice.
Us as professionals. Or if you want to email me, I personally get to every email. It might take me a few days, but it's dennis@blitzmetrics.com, or whatever your favorite channel. Just Google me and you'll see that. And I'm happy to connect. I'd love to see all you guys make 15-second stories and just absolutely kill it as loan officers.
That is amazing. We'll have all that information in the show notes. And again, Dennis, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been great to have you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, it's Chris. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed our guest today on the podcast. This is a reminder that we have just finished taking the greatest lessons from all of our guests and packaging them together into a brief online video presentation that's going to teach you the 10 most profitable ways to grow your mortgage business. And then we show you how to automate those processes in your business with people and systems so that you get the results without you having to do the work every day. This is quite literally a blueprint so that you walk into your mortgage business every day with pre-booked appointments with borrowers that want to meet with you and referral partners that want to send you business, so that you are spending your time inside your mortgage business on the highest dollar per hour activities, and you truly become the executive of your business, a true business owner, rather than just somebody who's going to a job every day and making a wage on the way through. This is an absolutely incredibly powerful training for you, and I cannot wait for you to experience it. So head on over to chriswebinar.com. That's chriswebinar.com to get that free training today. Now, if you could do me another favor, if you enjoyed this episode, please head on over to iTunes, search the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast, and give us a 5-star rating and review, really on any podcast platform that you're watching this on. That just 30 seconds of your time goes to help another loan officer in the industry discover this information and really help put their life and their business on track for more success. We are all in this together, and there is more than enough for all of us in the industry. So I would love if you left us that 5-star rating and review. Don't forget to stay tuned for our next episode, and I'll see you then.